true or untrue that you were in the audience as a prisoner in San Quentin when Johnny Cash came through and played?
Country music has always had a wild side when it comes to love. Behind the cowboy hats and guitars are stories full of passion, heartbreak, and scandal, where love burns fast and rarely lasts. These artists didn't just sing about affairs and broken hearts. They lived them. Their real lives were as dramatic as their songs, filled with desire, mistakes, and emotion. But one thing's clear: no song is as powerful as the ones inspired by love and temptation. Here are 20 country stars who were addicted to love and lust. Number 20, Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash wasn't just the man in black. He was the man of contradictions, torn between sin and salvation, lust and loyalty. His affair with June Carter began as a spark that could have ended both their careers. When they met in the 50s, Cash was married to Vivian Liberto and spiraling through addiction, while June, a member of country music's first family, was known for her wholesomeness and faith. But on the road, between gospel harmonies and backstage temptation, their chemistry grew impossible to hide. Fans saw it before they ever confessed it. Cash's marriage disintegrated as his drinking and drug use worsened. June tried to resist him. She'd seen too many men lose themselves to fame, but the pull was magnetic. Their secret glances during performances, their duets laced with barely disguised desire, made them the most electric pair in country music. When Cash finally divorced Vivian, the scandal was explosive. Church groups condemned them, newspapers dissected their every move, and June was painted as both the temptress and the savior. In 1968, Cash proposed to her on stage in front of a roaring crowd, cementing a love that had survived addiction, adultery, and public judgment. Their marriage endured until June's death in 2003, and Cash followed just months later. To the end, he called her his reason for living, a woman who saved him from himself. Their love was born in chaos, sealed by devotion, and fueled by a dangerous, irresistible fire. When the spotlight fades, the real drama often begins. And for these country stars, the stage wasn't the only place hearts were on fire. Number 19, Tanya Tucker. Tanya Tucker's life has always been a whirlwind of talent, rebellion, and wild romance, a saga that could fill a dozen country songs. She burst onto the scene as a teenage prodigy with a voice far older than her years, but fame came with temptations that few adults could handle, let alone a child star. By her 20s, Tanya was already notorious for her fiery relationships and unapologetic lust for life. Her most infamous romance was with outlaw legend Glenn Campbell, a 44-year-old married man when they began their affair. She was just 21. The age gap and intensity of their relationship scandalized Nashville. Their love burned hot and fast, full of passion, jealousy, and volatility. The two often fought publicly, and their breakup was as explosive as their romance. Campbell later described their time together as chaos wrapped in beauty, while Tanya admitted that despite the chaos, she'd never loved anyone quite the same. The breakup drove her deeper into heartbreak, addiction, and a period of self-destruction that almost derailed her career. But Tucker never stayed down for long. She rebounded with other high-profile lovers, from Merle Haggard to Don Johnson, and turned her personal chaos into the raw emotion that defined her music. Number 18, Shania Twain. Shania Twain's life took a turn so dramatic it could have been one of her own music videos, a story of betrayal, heartbreak, and the wild twist of fate that followed. At the height of her fame, Twain seemed to have it all: beauty, success, and a picture-perfect marriage to her producer, Robert "Mutt" Lang, the man behind her biggest hits. But in 2008, that illusion shattered when Twain discovered Lang was having an affair with her closest friend and personal assistant, Marianne Thibault. The revelation was devastating, a double betrayal that broke her spirit and silenced her voice. Heartbroken and humiliated, Twain withdrew from the spotlight, vanishing for nearly a decade while rumors swirled. But what no one expected was the twist that followed. In the rubble of the affair, Twain found unexpected comfort in Marianne's ex-husband, Frédéric Thibault. Their shared pain turned into companionship, and eventually, love. When the two married in 2011, it was poetic revenge, the kind that made tabloid writers drool and fans cheer. Twain has since spoken openly about how the scandal reshaped her view of love and trust. "It was like death," she said, "but it also set me free." The experience became a symbol of her resilience. a reminder that even the most brutal betrayals can give birth to rebirth. Shania didn't just survive a scandal. She transformed it into empowerment, proving that sometimes the best revenge is living passionately, loudly, and beautifully on your own terms. Number 17, Garth Brooks. For years, Garth Brooks was the poster boy of wholesome country values, the family man who dominated arenas and sold millions without a whiff of controversy. But behind that clean-cut image was a love triangle that quietly simmered for more than a decade. Brooks married Sandy Mall in 1986, long before he became a megastar. As his fame exploded, the pressures of touring and constant attention strained their relationship. Then came Trisha Yearwood, a fellow artist whose chemistry with Brooks was undeniable both on stage and off. Their duets carried an emotional intensity that fans couldn't ignore. By the late 90s, whispers began to swirl that Garth's heart wasn't entirely at home. He and Trisha denied any wrongdoing, insisting their connection was strictly professional, yet their body language told another story. When Brooks announced his retirement in 2000 to focus on family, the move was seen by some as an attempt to repair his crumbling marriage. But in 2001, he and Sandy Mall divorced, citing irreconcilable differences. 2 years later, Brooks and Trisha Yearwood went public with their relationship, confirming what many had long suspected. Their eventual marriage in 2005 felt like destiny fulfilled, but it also came with a tinge of scandal. The realization that the perfect country hero had been caught in the same web of temptation as the stars he once seemed above. In the end, Brooks's greatest love story was also his most complicated. Proof that even the good guys can't outrun the pull of forbidden passion, fame, fortune, and late-night tours, the perfect recipe for love that burns too hot to last. Number 16, Jason Aldean. Jason Aldean's image as a family man and country superstar took a major hit when his private life became front-page news. In 2012, while still married to his high school sweetheart Jessica Ussery, Aldean was photographed kissing American Idol contestant Brittany Kerr at a Los Angeles bar. The pictures went viral overnight, sparking outrage among fans and threatening to derail his career. Aldean quickly issued a public apology, blaming alcohol and poor judgment, but the damage was done. His perfect marriage narrative crumbled, and the scandal followed him for years. Aldean and Ussery attempted to reconcile, but by 2013 they filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Just months later, Aldean was openly dating Kerr, a move that divided his fan base. To some, it looked like betrayal. To others, it was a messy but honest pursuit of love. In 2015, they married, turning what began as a tabloid scandal into a legitimate relationship that has since produced 2 children. Still, the whispers never fully died down. Aldean has often said he refuses to let public perception dictate his personal life, yet the affair turned marriage permanently altered his reputation. Number 15, Kenny Chesney. Kenny Chesney's easygoing beach country image took a sharp turn into scandal when his whirlwind romance with actress Renee Zellweger became one of the shortest, most talked-about marriages in country music history. The pair met at a benefit concert in January 2005, fell into a fast-moving romance, and married that May on a beach in the Virgin Islands. But just 4 months later, Zellweger filed for an annulment, citing fraud. The cryptic wording sent the tabloids into a frenzy, sparking wild speculation about Chesney's private life and whether their fairy tale wedding had been built on illusion. Chesney and Zellweger both denied the rumors, later clarifying that fraud was simply legal terminology, but the damage was done. For years afterward, Chesney faced relentless questions about the meaning behind the phrase, his sexuality, and the real reason for the breakup. He tried to laugh it off in interviews, calling himself a guy who loves love but can't hold on to it, yet the scandal shadowed his career far longer than expected. Behind the scenes, friends said Chesney struggled with the pressures of fame and the expectation to settle down. The freedom he celebrated in his songs, the islands, the open seas, the endless summer, mirrored his aversion to being tied down. Renee later said they were simply not ready for the same kind of life. In the end, the Beach Boy of country music proved that even paradise has its storms, and love can sink as fast as it sails. Number 14, Faith Hill. Faith Hill and Tim McGraw's romance is part fairy tale, part backstage scandal, a love story that fascinated fans long before it made headlines. When they first met, Hill was engaged to another man, but the sparks she shared with McGraw were undeniable. Backstage chemistry turned into a full-blown affair, leaving fans and industry insiders buzzing about the ethical and emotional implications. Hill ended her engagement, and by 1996, she and McGraw were married, a bold leap that cemented one of country music's most famous partnerships. Their early years together were fraught with the pressures of fame, jealousy, and intense media scrutiny. Rumors swirled about McGraw's past relationships and occasional struggles with temptation, while Hill had to navigate accusations of opportunism and scandal stemming from her abrupt breakup. Yet, despite the constant public eye, they thrived professionally and personally. Their duets, including hits like It's Your Love, became not just chart toppers, but a narrative of their chemistry, blending lust, devotion, and emotional transparency into their art. Even now, decades later, whispers of drama persist. Fans speculate about jealousies, private disagreements, and moments of near collapse in their marriage. But what makes their story remarkable isn't just the scandal, it's the endurance. Two star-crossed performers who survived temptations, gossip, and the very real strains of a high-profile life. Faith Hill and Tim McGraw's story proves that addictive love in country music can be messy, all-consuming, and yet, ultimately, enduring. Number 13. Tammy Wynette. Tammy Wynette's life was a heartache set to music, a saga of love, betrayal, and obsession that could have been written by Nashville's most tragic poet. Known as the First Lady of Country Music, Wynette lived out the lyrics she sang, often at great personal cost. Her most famous marriage to George Jones was as volatile as it was legendary. When they met, she was already a rising star, married to songwriter Don Chappell, but Jones's charm and bad boy allure swept her away. Their affair caused a scandal in Nashville, especially after Wynette abruptly left her husband to be with Jones. Their union burned bright and fast. Jones's drinking and erratic behavior made their home life a battlefield of passion and pain. He once drove a lawnmower to a bar after she hid his car keys. She locked him out of the house when he disappeared for days. The tabloids feasted on their dysfunction, while their duets, full of longing and remorse, turned their real-life heartbreak into art. When Wynette finally divorced him in '75, the split didn't end their story. They continued recording together, their chemistry undimmed even as their love collapsed. Wynette would go on to marry 4 more times, chasing affection she could never quite hold on to. Her addiction wasn't to fame or fortune, it was to love itself, no matter how destructive. Every note she sang carried the ache of a woman who desperately wanted to be wanted. Sometimes, between country love drama, there are always 2 sides to the story. Number 12. George Jones. George Jones lived fast, loved hard, and left behind a legacy of heartbreak that even his greatest songs couldn't heal. Known for his soulful voice and self-destructive habits, Jones was as famous for his chaotic love life as he was for his chart-topping hits. When he fell for Tammy Wynette in the late 60s, it wasn't just romance. It was a collision. She was America's sweetheart. He was the country's most unpredictable outlaw. Their affair began while Wynette was still married, and the scandal that followed only made their pairing more intoxicating to fans. Their marriage quickly became legend and nightmare. Jones's alcoholism turned their home into a revolving door of reconciliations and disappearances. He'd vanish for days on benders, return remorseful, then spiral again. Their arguments were explosive, their makeups passionate, their public image both glamorous and tragic. Wynette once told reporters that loving George was like holding a tornado, and few who knew them disagreed. Yet, amid the chaos, they produced some of the most haunting duets in country history, their voices heavy with pain and yearning. Even after their divorce, Jones couldn't quite let Wynette go. He continued to sing about her, to her, and sometimes against her, unable to shake the emotional pull that defined his life. His later marriages never reached the same fever pitch. For all his fame, Jones seemed forever chasing the dangerous high of that one great love, proof that for him, passion and destruction were inseparable companions. Number 11. Miranda Lambert. Miranda Lambert's love life has often mirrored the fire in her music, passionate, messy, and impossible to ignore. Her marriage to Blake Shelton, once considered country music's golden pairing, became a headline-grabbing saga of jealousy, rumored infidelity, and inevitable heartbreak. Fans watched as the couple, initially inseparable both on stage and off, spiraled into public arguments and pointed interviews, fueling tabloid speculation for years. Every duet, every award show interaction seemed loaded with subtext, making their romance as much a part of their careers as their music. When they finally divorced in 2015, the public fascination didn't end. Shelton's quick romance with Gwen Stefani and Lambert's flurry of rebound relationships made it clear that neither was willing to step quietly into heartbreak. Lambert channeled her pain into her music, releasing hits that seethed with anger, betrayal, and defiance, turning her personal distress into anthems for anyone nursing a broken heart. Her post-divorce relationships, while less publicized, were no less intense, reflecting a woman unafraid to pursue desire, even if it came with complications. Lambert's story underscores a recurring theme in country music. Love is addictive, often destructive, and always a source of inspiration. She has lived publicly, loved fiercely, and refused to apologize for either. In doing so, she's cemented herself as a modern icon of passion and independence, proving that lust, heartbreak, and scandal are not just part of the songs she sings, they are the fuel behind them. Number 10, Blake Shelton. Blake Shelton's romantic escapades have made him as famous for love scandals as for his chart-topping hits. His high-profile marriage to Miranda Lambert was the stuff of public fascination, the golden couple of country music, celebrated for their duets and award show chemistry. But behind the cameras, their relationship was reportedly marked by jealousy, disagreements, and rumored infidelities, turning what seemed like a perfect romance into a tabloid spectacle. The divorce in 2015 left fans shocked and speculating, especially given the timing of Shelton's subsequent whirlwind romance with pop superstar Gwen Stefani. The Shelton-Stefani saga became one of the most scrutinized celebrity relationships of the decade. From late-night appearances to public declarations of love, every move they made was analyzed, dissected, and magnified by media outlets. Critics questioned whether the relationship was a rebound, a strategic pairing, or genuine romance. Questions neither Shelton nor Stefani shied away from addressing. Their openness only fueled the fire, with fans and gossip columns turning their love life into a daily headline. Despite the chaos, Shelton has demonstrated an uncanny ability to navigate fame and love simultaneously. His music reflects the instability of his relationships, from heartbreak to exhilaration, giving fans a glimpse into the man behind the public persona. Shelton's story illustrates a recurring theme in country music. Love can be as intoxicating as whiskey, messy as a honky-tonk bar fight, and just as unforgettable. In Blake's case, lust and longing have been as chart-topping as any of his hits. In Nashville, heartbreak sells almost as well as hit singles, and these stars had plenty of both. Number 9, Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton has spent decades balancing innocence and allure, the sweetheart of country music with a wink that always hinted at mystery. While she's long been married to the reclusive Carl Dean, their unconventional relationship has fueled endless rumors of affairs, flirtations, and secret passions. Dolly's charm, beauty, and emotional openness have made her an object of fascination. A woman whose songs about longing and heartbreak often felt too personal to be pure fiction. For years, Nashville whispered about Dolly's close creative partnerships, most notably with fellow singer Porter Wagoner. Their professional chemistry was electric, and gossip swirled that it had crossed into something more. Though Dolly has always denied a romantic relationship, her emotional ballad, "I Will Always Love You," written when she left Wagoner's show, only deepened the speculation. The song's mix of love, regret, and farewell sounded less like fiction and more like the closing chapter of a forbidden affair. Despite the endless intrigue, Dolly has remained playfully coy. She jokes about her looks and fame, brushes off rumors with humor, and guards her private life fiercely. Her marriage to Dean has endured, largely because it exists outside the spotlight, but even Dolly admits they've lived separate lives at times. Number 8, Reba McEntire. Reba McEntire has always embodied strength and grace, but even the queen of country isn't immune to heartbreak and scandal. Her love story took a dramatic turn in 2015 when she split from Narvel Blackstock, her husband of 26 years and longtime manager. The divorce shocked fans not just because of their long partnership, but because it unraveled the foundation of one of country music's most powerful empires. The pair had built a dynasty together, managing careers, producing shows, and raising a blended family. But behind the polished image, cracks had been forming for years. When the divorce became public, whispers quickly followed. Narvel reportedly began dating one of Reba's close associates, a woman the couple had known for years. The news hit Reba hard. It wasn't just the end of a marriage, it was a betrayal from within her inner circle. Still, rather than lash out publicly, Reba handled the split with dignity, channeling her pain into her music and her work. She later admitted she didn't want the divorce and struggled to understand how it happened so suddenly. In the aftermath, Reba reinvented herself, finding new love, new faith, and a renewed sense of independence. Number 7. Billy Ray Cyrus. Billy Ray Cyrus has always lived at the intersection of fame and chaos, but his love life in recent years has turned into a full-blown country soap opera. The achy breaky heart singer was married to Tish Cyrus for nearly 3 decades, a union that weathered multiple separations, reconciliations, and waves of public drama. Their relationship seemed indestructible until 2022, when they finally called it quits for good. Just months later, Billy Ray shocked fans by announcing his engagement to Australian singer Fire Rose, a woman decades younger, whom he reportedly met years earlier on the set of Hannah Montana. The timeline raised eyebrows immediately. Fans speculated that the new romance had overlapped with his marriage to Tish, while others accused him of diving headfirst into a midlife crisis. What made it worse was that his daughter, Miley Cyrus, appeared to side with her mother, fueling rumors of a family rift. Social media became a battleground of cryptic posts, song lyrics, and subtle shade, turning their private pain into public spectacle. Through it all, Billy Ray defended his choices, saying he'd found peace and true love at last. But to outsiders, the story looked less like redemption and more like obsession. A man unable to let go of the whirlwind emotions that once made him a star. Whether it's his music or his relationships, for some of these stars, love wasn't a fairy tale, it was a full-blown wildfire that left everyone scorched. Number 6. LeAnn Rimes. LeAnn Rimes went from America's country prodigy to one of its most controversial stars when her private life exploded into a public scandal. In 2009, Rimes was married to backup dancer Dean Sharamet, and her image was as wholesome as her crystal-clear voice. But that all changed when she met actor Eddie Cibrian on the set of the TV movie Northern Lights. Their on-screen chemistry quickly spilled off-screen, both were married at the time, and the affair soon became tabloid gold. Photos of the two sharing intimate moments surfaced, igniting one of the biggest celebrity scandals of the late 2000s. Both Rimes and Cibrian eventually left their spouses and went public with their relationship, but the fallout was brutal. The media branded her a homewrecker, her career took a hit, and fans who had once adored her turned on her overnight. What made things worse was the very public feud between Rimes and Cibrian's ex-wife, Real Housewives star Brandi Glanville, whose social media spats and interviews kept the drama alive for years. Despite the chaos, LeAnn and Eddie married in 2011 and have stayed together ever since, a fact that even her harshest critics admit adds complexity to the narrative. Over time, Rimes has been open about her regrets, therapy, and the emotional cost of her choices. Number 5. Morgan Wallen. Morgan Wallen's rise to fame has been as unstable as the love stories he sings about, full of heartbreak, controversy, and unfiltered emotion. The Tennessee native became the country's newest bad boy almost overnight, and his love life only added fuel to the fire. Wallen's most public relationship was with social media influencer KT Smith, with whom he shares a son. Their on and off romance was marked by passionate highs, messy breakups, and public reconciliations that kept fans guessing. Smith later revealed the relationship was intense but unstable, a whirlwind of affection, arguments, and immaturity magnified by fame. After their split, Wallen's name continued to swirl in gossip circles. He was linked to several women, including Bachelor alum Kristen Cavallari, though neither confirmed anything serious. But it wasn't just romance that made headlines. Wallen's wild lifestyle and impulsive behavior often blurred the line between self-destruction and self-expression. Even in Scandal, he never stopped writing songs about heartbreak, temptation, and regret, giving his chaos a confessional quality that fans couldn't look away from. Wallen embodies the modern country archetype, the charming outlaw whose flaws make him magnetic. His mix of raw talent, bad decisions, and emotional. They could command stadiums and melt hearts, but when it came to love, even the brightest stars couldn't escape the chaos. Number 4. Loretta Lynn. Loretta Lynn's love life was as stormy and resilient as the songs that made her a legend. Married at just 15 to Oliver Doolittle Lynn, she entered a relationship that would shape both her music and her soul. Their marriage was a mix of deep devotion and relentless struggles, filled with infidelity, drinking, and explosive fights that sometimes turned physical. Loretta never hid the truth. She wrote it, sang it, and lived it. Her songs were battle cries from a woman surviving love's hardest lessons. Do may have broken her heart countless times, but Loretta stayed, insisting that he also pushed her to chase her dreams. "He was my biggest fan and my biggest problem," she once said, a statement that perfectly captured the contradictions of their 48-year marriage. They fought, made up, and fought again, yet she credited him with believing in her talent when no one else did. Their story blurred the line between love and addiction, an obsession that was both destructive and sustaining. Loretta's honesty about her marriage made her one of the most relatable figures in country music. She didn't glamorize heartbreak, she survived it. Behind the rhinestones and romance, country music has always had a dangerous side where passion and pain walk hand in hand. Number 3. Conway Twitty. Conway Twitty built his empire on songs that oozed romance and temptation, the kind of slow, sultry country that blurred the line between love and lust. Known as the high priest of country music, Twitty's smooth voice and bedroom-eyed lyrics made him one of the most desired men in Nashville. But behind that polished charm were whispers of affairs, jealousies, and a professional partnership so intense it fueled decades of speculation. His collaborations with Loretta Lynn were electric. Their duets dripped with chemistry, and fans couldn't help but wonder if their connection went beyond the microphone. Both Twitty and Lynn denied any romantic involvement, but their closeness told another story. They recorded over a dozen albums together, spent endless hours touring side by side, and often referred to each other with deep affection. Whether it was genuine friendship or something more, their bond stirred controversy and fascination in equal measure. At the same time, Twitty's personal life was far from calm. Married 4 times, he was rumored to have had flings throughout his career, drawn to the same passion he sang about so convincingly. Twitty's life was the embodiment of country's dual nature, heartbreak and heat, devotion and desire. He never confirmed the gossip, but he never denied it either. Number 2. Kris Kristofferson. Kris Kristofferson was the poet outlaw of country music, a man whose lyrics bled honesty and whose love life read like a novel full of passion, heartbreak, and temptation. A Rhodes Scholar turned rugged troubadour, Kristofferson lived in extremes. He loved deeply, drank heavily, and chased connection with the same intensity that fueled his songwriting. In the 70s, his affair and eventual marriage to Rita Coolidge became one of music's most talked about romances. Together, they were golden, beautiful, talented, and free-spirited. But behind the bohemian glamour, cracks began to show. Their relationship was passionate but volatile. Coolidge later revealed that Kristofferson's drinking and wandering eyes strained their bond, and the very intensity that made him magnetic also made him difficult to love. When their marriage ended, it left both scarred but inspired. Rita turned heartbreak into song, and Kris poured his guilt into his music, writing some of the most vulnerable lyrics of his career. Even before and after Rita, Kristofferson's romantic history was tangled with brief affairs and emotional entanglements that followed him through fame. He never hid from love, even when it burned him. Every lust starts the same way: a glance, a whisper, and a love too strong to hide under the neon lights. Number 1. Merle Haggard. Merle Haggard's life was a country song come to life, heartbreak, redemption, and a string of loves that burned bright and fast. Known for his outlaw image and soulful honesty, Haggard lived as wildly offstage as he did on it. He married 5 times, and each relationship seemed to mirror a different era of his music, from the restless drifter to the weary romantic. His early marriages were plagued by infidelity and the chaos that came with fame. Yet, Merle never shied away from admitting his flaws. One of his most publicized romances was with singer Bonnie Owens, who interestingly had been married to Buck Owens before marrying Merle. Bonnie not only stood by Haggard as his wife, but also helped shape his career, co-writing and performing alongside him. Even after their divorce, the two remained close friends until her death, an unusual but deeply loyal bond. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and click on the next video shown on your screen.